I know these problems are difficult, and they take a lot of practice. Remember, you can always go back and review the lessons if you need some help. The answer to this problem is negative 28. Let's see how we got that. The first thing I notice when I'm looking at this problem is that there's this inner parenthesis inside the absolute value. So we have to perform the operations inside the parentheses before we do anything else. When I'm looking at the operations inside these parentheses, I notice that there's an exponent, and we need to do exponents before multiplication and before subtraction. So let's do 5 squared. Remember, when you're doing problems like this, you should always copy the operations that you didn't perform and only perform 1 or 2 operations at each step. So I'm going to copy everything down. The only thing I'm going to do right here is evaluate this 5 squared. And I know that 5 squared is 25. The next thing I can do is evaluate multiplication and division. There's only one multiplication inside the parentheses, so let's evaluate that and copy everything else down. 4 times 6 is 24 minus 25, and I have to cube that, and I still have my absolute value. Since there's one more operation inside these inner parentheses, I have to do this operation before I can do anything else. And remember to copy everything else down. 24 minus 25 gives me negative 1. And I have to raise negative 1 to the 3rd power. Now I can perform the operations inside the absolute value. And I can evaluate my exponents first. So I have the negative absolute value of 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. And then we have negative 1 cubed, which is negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. Or you could also remember that a negative number raised to an odd power would give me a negative result. Now we only have one operation left inside of the absolute value, which is 27 minus negative 1. So I have negative the absolute value of 27 minus a negative 1, which is 28. From here, remember that this negative out front actually means negative 1 times, and the absolute value of 28 is 28. So I have negative 1 times 28, which gives me negative 28. These were some good practice problems for both absolute value and order of operations. Why don't you try a couple more?